Happy Friday, Miami. This is Buy, Sell, Hold Miami, a real estate podcast. I'm Peter Zalewski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club. I'm joined here by my partner, my co-host, the moderator, Daniel Hernandez over at Compass Real Estate in Coconut Grove. He does single-family houses and condos. What's going on, Daniel? We made it through the winter. Now we got the heat, the humidity, and the hurricane warnings.
Yes, my favorite time of year. Market might slow down or not. Historically, we've actually had our busiest month has been July for the last few years. So there's still transactions to be done. There's still things to do. There's still, as Peter likes to say, realtors' time to waste. Just please don't waste mine. And I want to jump into it. We got a lot to talk about today, Peter. Got a great show for you folks. If you've never joined us before, this is Buy, Sell, Hold. Bottom left of your screen, if you're looking at us on YouTube or Substack, if you're looking on your little phone, right in the middle, that's what we call the rundown. And that's a series of topics that Peter and I toss around back and forth as the week goes on. On Fridays, we settle on them, we talk about them, and if we agree with each statement, we buy. If we don't agree, we sell. If we hold, that just means, hey, we don't have enough information and we're not going to buy or sell. We're just going to sit back, eat our popcorn, and have a gay old time. Not gay like that. I'm not like, well, you know what I mean. Anyway, Peter, want to jump right into it. Key Biscayne's drain game is weak. So I want to give everybody a little bit of context on what's going on here. So last week, or the last couple of weeks, Village of Key Biscayne voted unanimously 7-0 to scrap their version of the Big Dig. AECOM, which is a big infrastructure designer, developer, they build interstates and airports and drainage projects, which is something that has become quite popular here in terms of climate mitigation. We had a lot of flooding, so somebody's got to design and build seawalls and pumps. You know, if you go into Sunset Harbor along Miami Beach, they try to beautify them by putting plants and stuff. But in the middle of a lot of streets, there are these giant pumps that are, well, pumping rainwater and stormwater. And where does that water go? A lot of times it goes into the bay. And that's what Key Biscayne paid a design firm, AECOM, to figure out how to do. So they spent $8 million on this, and it was going to be close to $100 million project. And what this was going to do was take rainwater from Key Biscayne, because if it rains for like more than an hour on Key Biscayne, you're under an inch or inches or maybe even a foot of water. I've been on Key Biscayne and you see Teslas stalled and Porsches, you know, with water up to their doors. Well, Key Biscayne scrapped this whole plan, and now they want to go back to pumping water down deep into the earth. And why is this a problem? I'll tell you. Because Miami Beach already did this and it failed spectacularly. And this all boils down to the main pushback was some opposition on Key Biscayne. They didn't want to have to cut down several hundred trees. I think it was 500 trees, a lot of them palms, to put these pumps in. And I get it. Palms and trees. Why is Coral Gables so beautiful? Because we have tree canopies. It's shady, but the alternative is it's going to flood. And as the years go on, it's going to flood more because that's what science tells us, and we believe in science here, not angels. And so without an adequate pumping system, without an adequate remediation, you're going to start seeing more and more flooding on Key Biscayne. Now, the folks that they hired to come up with this alternative plan say, no, we can just, what effectively is digging a deep hole, and like, you know what a French drain is, Peter?
No. Tell me.
So a French drain is like when you dig a hole, you fill it with rocks, and then the rocks create surface area for the water to sort of drain down into. Think about that, but on just like a crazy industrial scale. And that's all fine and good. It does seem like a good idea. I'm not an engineer by any means, but Miami Beach did this, and they say in their report, they explicitly state that stormwater injection wells are no longer viable due to a reduced ability to push water down against rising groundwater and tides. Engineering News Record reported the city's aha moment came when a king tide came in and just pushed the water back up through the wells in Sunset Harbor. How's that?
Key Biscayne, Key Biscayne, Key Biscayne. 15,000 people, 32% of the population's under the age of 18. This is the oasis. This is the enclave. This is the place, 58% foreign born, where people who want to live in and around Miami, they want some protection. They don't want to deal with the, what do they call them? The girlies, according to Miami New Times, over at Cotton Island or Brickell Key, whatever you want to call it. No. They want their exclusive enclave. And if you want your exclusive enclave and you happen to pick an enclave, which is right up there where it floods, right over there next to your neighboring area, which is called Stiltsville. You know what they did in Stiltsville? They built everything on stilts in the middle of the bay because they know it floods. Key Biscayne people, maybe they didn't get the memo. I don't know. When the Mackle brothers, old man Mackles or the brothers Mackle, after World War II, they took over Key Biscayne. They started putting up these, I'm not going to call them shotgun shacks, but little houses on lots. And you know what happened? All of a sudden, Key Biscayne took off. And once it did, these little bedroom types of community, this bedroom community with these small little houses, they all got torn down. And the new investors maximized the lot, maximize more than Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon used to hang out with there, a guy called B.B. Rebozo, one of his good buddies, in and around that time when, you had things going on with that apartment complex called Watergate, but that's a different story. Key Biscayne's also where your boy, Al Pacino, when he was in Scarface, this was the home. This was one of the homes that was featured in it.
It just went on the market.
Yeah, well, like $250 million or something?
$38 million.
So if you look at Key Biscayne, you look at Census Bureau data, what I will tell you, the median price, I think, is what the Census Bureau is calling. Let me give you the exact figure here. $1.6 million, the median value, 2% property tax. Let's run those numbers. The point I'm making is they got plenty of cash to piss away on some plan that somebody's brother-in-law or sister or mistress got. And then lo and behold, they said, yeah, let's just kind of put it aside. Key Biscayne is the same town that got sued by the Independent, which is a community-based publication. Yeah. You know what they got sued for? They don't want to share information. They wanted to keep it quiet. They didn't want word to get out. This is basically an enclave, 15,000 people, 32%, 31% is under the age of 18. They think that what they have is gold, and if they want to keep the gold, they're going to need to polish it, and they're going to need to maintain it, and they're going to raise their property taxes in order to do this. But let me tell you what, every single thing they do, and I'm not a scientist, and I am not an RFK's camp either. What I will tell you, though, you're not going to stop the water. It's not going to stop. So you guys can play whatever games you want, but it's not going to change. You have to deal with it. Raise it up like your neighbors in Stiltsville.
And I mean, if you build new construction on Key Biscayne, the building code, you're got to walk up like 16 stairs just to get to the first floor. And that's all fine and good, but you still got to get to your house, right? You got to drive in your car to your house. And when you get one of these torrential downpours, and we've had a few over the last few years where, you go on Instagram and the Olean dates and you see these cars literally underwater. And I'm not picking on Key Biscayne. This happens throughout the county. This happens on Miami Beach. This happens on Brickell Avenue. This happens on Biscayne. This happens in Coconut Grove too, guys. What I think is the folly here, though, is that so Key Biscayne started this process many, many years ago. They had experts come in. They had studies. They had everything. They were at the finish line. They went to the state. So the state has what they call, I put it down here in my notes, they have the state revolving fund for water infrastructure loans. And so it's a fund that municipalities can apply to get funds for climate resilience projects. So they went through the bureaucratic funding process to get this done. They got the loans, they had the money. And now that they decided to go with an alternative plan, that money's no good for any other plan than the one that they already picked. So they got to go back to the drawing board. They basically took this $8 million binder that they paid for and lit it aflame. and now they're angling for a project that another municipality, a bigger municipality that has arguably larger flooding problems, has said very publicly, guys, that doesn't work. It's like the guy out in the sticks when the Ford Model T came through and he was like, "Now we're going to stick with these horses and carriages." It's the same thing. I get it. I love trees more than the next guy, just as much as the next guy. But what's the alternative is you being underwater.
Federated, let me get this right, Federated States of Micronesia.
I've heard of it.
It's over there in the Pacific. And you know what's happening? These things are getting wiped out. Why? Because of global sea level rise. Keep it scanned. If you want to know what to do with your property and all you owners who have got $1.5, $1.6 million valuations, you need to pay attention to what's going on in Micronesia. And what's going on is these guys are trying to figure out a way to kind of work around it. Whatever you're doing, it's not going to hold back the water. We all know that. If anybody sees any projections about flood zones, Miami Beach, who's to say? Brickell Avenue, who's to say? You don't know what's going on here. Whatever you're going to do, why don't you start to take an approach that whatever we got, we need to enjoy it today. Because fast forward 50 years, who's to say what happens despite what people are telling us the science is related to or not related to rising sea levels? I think this is a losing proposition. I think they're on the wrong side of the trade. I think they need to bring in some guys and women from Holland. Bring in the Dutch. They're good partiers.
The whole country
so
was
they can
built
give you
on top of a bog. I think that's a fantastic idea. But they don't have any more money to pay for it because they already paid these guys $8 million.
$1.6 million a home is the median value, 2%. You know what? Jack that property tax up to 3%. Make it 4%. They got plenty of money. You got 15,000 people. This is the same group that was bitching and moaning about doing some extension on the Rickenbacker because they didn't want the traffic. This is the group that didn't like having the, whatever it's called today, the tennis, used to be Lipton. It was the NASDAQ. It was the
They just call it the Miami Open because nobody can sponsor it now.
Now the Miami Open. No, this is an entitled little enclave that they want to do things the way they want to do it, and then somehow they want sympathy. Good for them. They picked the wrong person to do the study, or they didn't like the results of the study, so they're going to go out and they're going to shop for another study. I have no sympathy for them whatsoever. You brought onto an island in a climate where the seas are rising, and if you expect anything else, it's your mistake.
I'm buying that Key Biscayne's drain game is weak.
Oh, yeah. No, I would be a buy as well.
If you build it, the kids will come. And we're not talking about baseball fields either. Peter, that was just like a total tongue twister. Wall Street Journal piece written by, I haven't met you yet, Deborah, but I got introduced to you. Deborah Acosta authored this piece. In Florida, billionaires open their schools. So there's a trend here happening. And we've talked about this. We talked about this with my former social studies teacher, Mr. Josh Dallenbert. Hi, Josh. Doesn't matter how much money you have. We do not have enough private school capacity to fill with recent migrated billionaires' kids. You can have all the money in the world. You can have the biggest house in Coconut Grove. It doesn't guarantee your kid's spot in Ransom or Carrollton or St. Stephen's or one of these schools. So they've taken it upon themselves to build schools. And some of these schools, they're not all in Dade. Billionaire Jeff Green opened one up in West Palm Beach. Stephen Ross of the related Ross companies, they opened one in Wellington, not up in Delaware, but I'm talking about in West Palm Beach. And so there's all of these schools that are opening to service all of these really, really wealthy people. And I pulled the numbers, the migration numbers, even though we do have outward migration out of Dade, the people that are coming in here, you know what the median income of those people are, Peter? About $170,000 a year. So these are people who are moving here with cash, but they're also moving here with kids. So imagine if you're Ken Billions and you're trying to convince, or you're trying to order, or you're trying to pay an executive, a really, really smart, educated guy to come move here, but he's got a couple of rugrats who he wants to get an amazing education. And, you know, the public school system here isn't the best. So he wants to put him in private school. But he can't. The kids can't get in. Not because they're not smart, because there's just no spots. So I took a look at it, and it's somewhere here in my notes. Just so many screens here. Where's Joshua when we need him, right? We love Joshua.
Exactly.
So the schools in question here, we got the Green School up in West Palm Beach. He opened that in 2016. He actually took over a dilapidated car dealership made it into a school. A lot of these schools that they're building are, they're legally nonprofits. So is Gulliver, so is Ransom. But you need to attract teachers, so you need to pay them enough that they can live. And as we talked about in previous shows, the affordability thing here is a real thing. So a private school teacher is maybe making $80,000, $90,000, $95,000 a year. So it's just within that average median income. And then the green school, Windgrove Academy, that's the Ross one. You got one in Miami Beach called Base Camp 305. Don't love the name, but John D. Marshall, who's a billionaire, of course, back that one. And then you got the WeWork guys, Adam and Rebecca Newman. They knocked down that church over in El Portal to open Soulful. It's not spelled like soulful because they're tech bros. It's like SOFL or something like that. But all of these folks are building schools to sort of fill that need. And there is a tremendous need. Uh-oh, I see that face, Pete.
All right. So your boy Larry Page from Google, he's got 2 kids.
Boy.
Old man Zuckerberg, Mark Zuckerberg, he's got a pair of kids as well. I don't know how many Jared and Ivanka, I don't know how many kids they have, but I mean, don't you sort of see how it coincides? You have these certain groups coming in and then all of a sudden they have kids, they need to put them in school and all of a sudden they move forward. I don't know if old man Ken Griffin, I don't know if he has any kids or not, but it's just kind of interesting how this plays out. At the same time, Broward County, they're talking about shutting down schools. They are closing schools because there's nobody in there. And what we're seeing is a pivot. We're seeing what Josh had told us. Your former Josh, right? Your former grade school teacher?
Yeah, Dallenberg.
Yeah, it's what he had told us. There's simply a shift. It's going towards, I guess, I don't know if it's better quality. It is, it is what it is. But what I would tell you, and this is my thesis. My thesis is we always go through waves. We had the Cuban migration wave of the 50s, the 60s, again in the 80s. We had the Haitian wave. We had the Colombian wave. We had the Argentinian wave when you had the peso dollar devaluation. We had a Brazilian wave. We're having a wave right now of billionaires that are leaving blue states where they are being persecuted, prosecuted, whatever you want to call it. And they're all moving here.
We're saying taxed. They're being taxed.
But basically what they want to do is they want to set up shop. They want to set up shop. They need their certain creature comforts that maybe they're not finding here thus far, but they were able to find it elsewhere. Now here's the risk. Are they going to stick around? Are they going to stay? Are they here for good? Or are they going to pull the usual? Like I said, you got to be here 3 years. First year, you party like a rock star. Second year, you get serious. Third year, if you haven't gotten outside of the whole social scene, you're either going home to rehab or you're going to prison. Let's see if these people stick around 3 years. And by the way, a lot of people coming to Florida because of what's going on with the current presidential administration, the power structure. Once that power structure and the Mar-a-Lago effect is what I would call it up in West Palm Beach, once it sort of dissipates, let's see if these people still want to be here. I don't see Mark Zuckerberg fitting in here very well. Maybe he spent some time here because remember, Facebook was originally incorporated here
Deering Bay.
Incorporated in Deering Bay. Maybe these people stick around. I don't see them staying unless they get long in a tooth like Jeff Bezos and they're simply retiring. But I don't see the younger ones who still got a little bit more fight left in them. I don't really see them sticking around here.
But what about
what
Peter,
they want?
I'm going to push back on that. What about all the people that are in their orbit? Like, yeah, okay, Mark Zuckerberg's one guy, but there's got to be hundreds of families that follow him here, and they got kids. So, I mean, and in order for them to really come here, those schools have to be here. It's like you can't put the cart before the horse. The school has to be there. You can't wait 3 or 4 years for a school to get built while you're trying to figure it out.
Well, what I will tell you is I would tell you about a conversation I had with somebody who worked for United Nations. It was a while back, and the person from United Nations was telling me how they would position, how large corporations would position people. And one of the things they found is they never put a married couple in Miami because there were going to be too many, let's call it distractions. So typically the type of...
What do you mean by that, Peter?
Just too many distractions in the marriage and the family, and it didn't necessarily play out like it would maybe like a place like St. Louis or a place like maybe Silicon. Well, I don't know about Silicon Valley, but something like that. So this is something you got to factor in. I don't know how many of the people are going to be, actually coming here. I would imagine they're going to put them in some back office somewhere. Look at how banks do it. Banks will set up an operation at Brickell Avenue, will set it up in the Gables. And you know where the real work gets done?
Plantation.
It gets done in Miami Lakes. It's in Miami Lakes. They don't want to bring out the back office people. So while you might have a couple fat cats moving in here, they want them to prance around, show off their watch, talk about how popular and how successful they are. The reality is they're not all going to come. Look at the guys at Palantir. They supposedly came to Miami. They're up in heaven